It's Tech Lid, and we're bullish, baby. For those of you not familiar with the channel, we talk sports and we play bingo. Now, this is an interesting tweet right here from Mighty Max Boxing. Check out his Twitter handle if you have not already. He has some interesting topics, debates, all that sort of stuff. You could go chime under there. Terence Crawford or Andre Ward, who's the better fighter? I'm going to answer that real quick, but subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Give a thumbs up to the video. This was my reply down there. Andre Ward by leaps and bounds. Ward didn't get any soft touches when he conquered 168. Although it isn't Crawford's fault, those guys weren't good. The resume speaks volumes. Ward was a better tactician and he could mix it up as well. Crawford isn't on Ward's defensive level. I stand by that. I truly believe that. Both fighters, special fighters, if you will, right? I don't think that Crawford is as special as Ward was, even though it may look like that from the outsider perspective. Why? Because Terence Crawford does it with more style. Terence Crawford has a bit more dog in him, if you will, right? Andre Ward was super fundamentally sound. He was a tactician. He was very good defensively. But he could mix it up. He could mix it up when he needed to. He could get in a firefight if he needed to. Terence Crawford, more explosive style. He's looking to knock you out. He is not as defensively responsible as Andre Ward. And I know that many will say it's because he has not been in the ring with someone that will make him more defensively responsible. But that simply isn't true, because Terence Crawford gets cracked from lower level fighters. Of course, everybody gets hit in a fight. I'm not saying that to say that he's getting like these clean flush hits, but it is very noticeable in every fight that Crawford has. You say, wow, that guy hit Crawford with a really good shot. You don't really see that with many fighters all the time. You know, you could point out to Crawford fights where you remember the exact punch where he got cracked hard. Andre Ward, on the other hand, you're not going to point out certain fights and tell me in this round at that time, Andre Ward got hit with a great left or a great uppercut or whatever the case may be. He was just better defensively, and his level of competition was way higher than Crawford. As I mentioned in the tweet, that is not Terence Crawford's fault when I speak about 140. Those guys were just basically tomato cans who had belts, if you will, at the end of the day, if you look at someone like Julius Ndango. But, you know, it's harsh to say he was a tomato can because he had the strap, but he had a very short-lived prime in Ndango, if you want to call it that. He probably had a 1 to 2 fight prime because this guy really wasn't that good. But he had a world title, and you could never take that away from Julius Ndango. So right now, I just called him a tomato can, but I'm going to have to take that away and contradict myself there. I can't call him a tomato can exactly because the dude had a strap, right? So it is what it is, but he was really not that good a fighter. He was just someone who I believe was there at the right time, and he had a really good night when he won those titles or whatever may have you, right? Terence Crawford, Andre Ward. Ward is the better fighter, no doubt about it. Now, if we're talking about the more explosive fighter, it's Terence Crawford. You know, Terence Crawford is looking to knock you out, as I mentioned earlier. Terence Crawford is that dude, but his level of competition is poor. They try to elevate other guys who Crawford has fought. For example, Jose Benavidez. Nobody cares about him. Nobody talks about him. But when they mention him with Crawford, they make it seem like he was this legitimate high-level competitor, which he was not. Another guy, Mean Machine. Oh my God, that one cracks me up every time. People talk about Mean Machine like he was a beast. Mean Machine does not even get brought up in boxing conversations unless you talk about Terence Crawford in the ring with him. That's just the Crawford fanboys trying to elevate the status of guys like Mean Machine to make the Crawford win seem credible. Andre Ward, you don't even got to talk about the opponents and the caliber that he has fought. Elite level fighters, right? Proven. Although that first fight with Sergey Kovalev, I do believe that Andre Ward lost that fight. But Kovalev was an elite level fighter. I don't care what anybody says about Kovalev. You guys might say he was just all power. No, he wasn't. He proved it that very night. He was a boxer. He boxed with Andre Ward, and he outboxed him in the first fight. But being that Andre Ward was the better fighter of those two guys, he proved it in the rematch. And there was no debates, no questions about it. Low blows aside, which there were a few, but there were also good hits right on the belt that were legal. Ward was just better than Kovalev, and I'm saying Ward is the better fighter between himself and Terence Crawford. But apples and oranges, different weight classes, you can't really compare that as much. Good talk there, good topic from Mighty Max Boxing. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, once again, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Peace and love to the Tech Lid Legion.